Hello and welcome. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, we're going to be having a conversation about what subjects you would need to teach in homeschool. Of course, that's going to be guided by the core and the legal requirements, but we'll be expanding on that and talking about the other subjects you can cover in this video. So first of all, we want to be talking about, obviously, the core subject matters, what's required, what everybody kind of expects. Then we're going to be looking at that bigger basket of electives, right? What are all the other things that you could incorporate into your curriculum, into your study? Then, of course, we want to be kind of looking at the strategies for choosing. How do I select out of that big basket which ones I want to prioritize? Then we'll talk about how those will be impacted by what states require. Then lastly, we want to be really looking at balancing everything out, right, between the core and different electives and your goals, and just kind of looking at all of that. So those will be the 5 things that we cover in this video. Obviously, core subject matter. And again, this varies a little bit depending on the age of your child, right? So when your child first enters school, the core really is reading, writing, and arithmetic. We talked about that in another video. Those are the essential skills, learning skills that you want your young child to begin to develop. That mathematical competency, the ability to read the language and communicate in writing. As they get older, we begin to expand in scientific thinking, so sciences begin to get involved in that. And then, of course, the social sciences. Primarily, we're looking at civics or government-related and history. Those will be core subjects. And as they get a little bit older, you also want to be thinking potentially about foreign language, right? And shouldn't a child be learning some foreign language, particularly if they're going to go to college? So those are often what we talk about with the core subjects. Now there's a layer beyond that core as we begin to think about electives. And there'll be things like physical education, music classes, music appreciation, and art, right? So now we're beginning to expand a little bit outside that real hardcore, but those are physical education, music, arts, probably have some legal requirements that you would want to be checking out what your state requires from that. But beyond that, we have all kinds of ways that you can then begin to really, through the social studies or the humanities or things, there's lots of subjects, lots of things that you can incorporate into the learning that will benefit the child greatly, that may meet their interests, that could fit under that bigger umbrella. Things like what I talk about all the time, mindset training, right? So much of what you can train in terms of mindset could potentially fit under the social sciences. One of the social sciences is psychology. So there's a whole lot there that has an enormous impact, really powerful subject areas that you could be teaching the child. Economics is another one, right? So a whole lot of financial kind of education opportunities. There is so much under that umbrella of these social studies that it opens a huge realm from, even history and some of the field trips and trips you could take that you could tie into history lessons. Under the science, environmental science, and get out and explore nature, and some of the nature things that you can do has a potential to be expanded and fit under that science category. So that's what you would really want to begin looking at under that umbrella, right? And music, art, phys ed also. There's a lot of activities, a lot of potential courses that you could do that would fit under those umbrellas. When choosing out of this big basket of electives and extracurricular activities and trying to figure out how you're going to incorporate those into the homeschooling environment, there's several things you want to be kind of looking at. One is what's really piquing the interest of your child. When their interest is piqued and that curiosity is peaked, then obviously the motivation is different. So that's one, of course. The second is also though thinking about what's really going to have long-term benefit in terms of developing their mind, really developing their thinking skills, their intellectual curiosity, and skills that they will utilize and fall back on well into their college and adult years. And this is one reason why I talk about mindset kind of curriculum, because ultimately what they learn about training their mindset and developing those mindset skills are going to have a huge impact for the rest of their life. Many people often also talk about the economics and the financial skills, right? Those are going to be skills that no matter what you do when you become an adult, those are going to be really important, valuable skills. So whether your child is showing a natural inclination and interest in those particular areas, you would still say, oh, I really probably should value those and make sure they get it. And then, of course, in the actual implementation, you're falling back on good teaching practices and making sure you're trying to find ways to teach these skills and these subject matters that are going to engage the student, activate all the different learning modes and styles and higher level thinking, all those kind of teaching skills that we've talked about in other videos. I'll use my sister's family as an example of how this kind of played out. She had two daughters and a son, and they homeschooled. And one of the things they got their children involved in was dance. Their son got involved in dance, and later on, while he wasn't dancing, he got involved in a whole lot of the theatrical productions of this. So in the process of doing that, they implemented it by, okay, my daughters and even my son are very interested in the whole theater and the dance aspect. How can we begin to incorporate this into their homeschool curriculum? And through the humanities and studying kind of the literature aspect and the storytelling and the performing arts and the physical education, they were able to incorporate it all in. And this became a part of what they did. It also, going right into this next piece, is they could find from what the state required, all right? They require a certain amount of physical education. Well, dance is certainly physical education. They require this in terms of history. Oh, I can easily incorporate that in my history component. They looked at what was needed and then saw how the dance, among other things, but in this case, the dance could fit into that. And then they met those criteria through that component. Now, obviously, it didn't cover every subject, everything they needed, but it filled in pieces and gaps. So their socialization and all those things that they wanted through that, they could actually incorporate some of that into their homeschool and get credit for it. Well, as you are going about trying to choose that basket and all those things, this idea of structure, right? There are skills involved with doing discipline at your desk kind of work, reading books, maybe even watching some videos, although I tend to shy away from those a little bit for reasons I've mentioned and other things. I'm really concerned about relying too much on screen time. But reading books, pulling out information, taking notes, doing problems, those sort of desk work have value on many levels. And you want to be able to balance that sort of structure, maybe even some lectures thrown in, right? That sort of structure versus the alternative kind of modes. And again, when I ran a program in public schools that had, my population, I was really trying to get creative. I'm working with their mindset a lot because they had so many limiting beliefs and all these other things I've talked about in other videos. But I used very often some like Boy Scout, their merit badge books and all, because there is so much good material in there that can meet so many learning standards. If your child is involved in any of the scouting organizations, and there's others besides just the Boy and Girl Scouts, they have programs, curriculum available to teach all kinds of different skill sets that you can incorporate into your homeschool curriculum and get credit for both. It's a wonderful opportunity. So, whether it's like 4-H club and some of the projects they do, or it's scouting organizations, anything like that, look at their courses that they offer and how you can utilize those. That's that balancing out the structure, traditional kind of education, intellectual needs, and the flexibility of using other programs, organizations, tapping into your child's natural curiosity and all of those kinds of things that we've already talked about. Well, that wraps up this other video. I'm encouraging you to subscribe to our channel so you can get access to all the other videos and get notified when we got new ones. You might be particularly interested in the video, is student academic success correlated with behavior? You can check that video out today and tune into the next one. I will see you there.